Alright, this has been Blackie here and with you. And I know this is the second time that I have recorded this previously, but because of like interruptions and also video length, I'm decided to talk faster and make this quicker as possible so that I can upload this. But anyway, because as you all know, since today is August 11th, 2018, this day, as you know, marked a very tragic day, and here in the entertainment and comedic world, because on this day, way back on August 11th, 2014, we were all deeply saddened at the passing of one of our favorite actors of all time, and that person I'm talking about, as you all know, is none other than Robin Williams. And so this is my thoughts and my tribute video on him, because as you know, he was born this day back on July 21st, 1951, and he died on this day back on August 11, 2014, which I'll talk about after I get through his movies. It's a bit like retrospective, but it'll be more like thoughts and tribute. So I'm gonna go kind of quick because I want to try to fit this on one. So anyway, I mentioned his birth date, and then he did have some dreams in comedy when he was young, but then he, in the early 80s, or late 70s and early 80s, if it was more in the early 80s, or mid 80s, he made his, and he appeared in the popular television sitcom known as Mork and Mindy. And that show was a big hit, in which he played Mork in that show, excuse me. And so that show was a big hit. And then also around the same time, back in 1980, he played he played the title role as Popeye in the movie Popeye, based on the popular cartoons, which I used to love watching back in the day, which I do have some Popeye cartoons on DVD, but anyway, which they're hilarious and funny because I grew up watching it. Anyway, moving on. Follow that, and then around the 80s, he began gaining fame with other movies, too, which he really gained fame in the comedy film Good Morning Vietnam, which that was funny. Although it is rated R, I have seen a bit of it, like on the news stuff of the report. But anyway, I'll talk about that later. But anyway, so yeah, alright, yeah, and then a year later, in 1988, he appeared in the movie Dead Poets Society, which he got an Oscar nomination for Best Actor, as well as Best Picture and Best Director, and a few other awards it was nominated for. And yeah. And then in around, like, in the late 80s and early 90s, he appeared in the 1991, he appeared in two different movies. The first one was the Steven Spielberg movie Hook, which is a rendition of Peter Pan, which he did with Dustin Hoffman, the late Bob Hoskins, and Julia Roberts. Which I haven't seen that one though, but I heard good things about it. And then the other one that he did was a film directed by Terry Gilliam called The Fisher King, which he did with Jeff Bridges, Mercedes Will, who won the Best Supporting Actress for a role in that movie, an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for a role in that movie, and also and Amanda Plummer was in there too. It was, so yeah. And then a year later, in 1992, he had a voice talent in a Disney animated classic in which he voiced the genie in Aladdin, which is my all-time favorite Disney animated movie classic. And it was also one of my childhood favorites growing up back in the day. And yeah. And then in 1995, a year later, in 1993, he appeared in another funny comedy film, which was Mrs. Doubtfire, which he played the title role. Well, in disguise only, because he did play Daniel Hillard in that film in his regular form. Mrs. Doubtfire was his dress in drag disguise, which was so funny, indeed. And then, okay, I have to make this quick as possible, but anyway, then in 1995, he also appeared in Jumanji, playing Alan Parrish. That was a good movie as well. And then 2 years later, in 1997, he appeared in two different movies. One was another Disney film, which was a live-action Disney film. At this time, it would be the movie Flubber, which is a really funny film. I've seen that film twice in school, actually, and it's so funny. And then the other film, which got more better reviews than Flubber, because Flubber got bad reviews. This one got a lot of great reviews. This one he won Best Supporting Actor for the film Good Will Hunting, which he did with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Minnie Driver. Of course, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon will also win Best Original Screenplay for that film, since it was so good. Of course, and then, yeah, and then he appeared in a few other movies, like in the late 90s and early 2000s, but then in 2002, he played in a thriller film, which he did with Al Pacino and Hilary Swank in the movie Insomnia. I don't know if you heard of that. And then, so yeah, then he did a few other movies too, like Death to Smoochie, The Birdcage, which actually came out in the 90s. Sorry if I got a bit out of order, but as well as a thriller film called 1 Hour Photo. I don't know if I think that came out like 2003 or 2004, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not too sure, but it's alright. And then in 2005, he had a voice talent in a Blue Sky Studios anime film, which was the second one they did after Ice Age, in the movie Robots, which he voiced the red robot known as Fender, which is a really funny role, especially the scene where Rodney, voiced by Ewan McGregor, the main character, who's on the roller coaster, like seeing the ball. I thought that was really exciting and funny. Then he had a few, and then in 2006 he was in the movie RV, which is really, really funny movie. So yeah, and then, which is another really funny movie, and he also was Teddy Roosevelt in Night Museum. Of course, he would also reprise his role in Battle of the Smithsonian. That was great. And but yeah, he did appear in a few other movies in the late 2000s and early 2010s. But and then I don't know what other movies that he did in the early 2010s and late 2000s. And then sadly in 2014, just before Night Museum: Secret of the Tomb came out, the last film in the Night Museum films, that was when Robin Williams passed away of an apparent suicide due to asphyxia, because he hung himself, according to Lieutenant Boyd, Marin County Sheriff's Office Lieutenant Keith Boyd has declared that at a press conference. If you've seen that video, you'll see how he died exactly, and then also on Wikipedia as well, because that was his long-term suffer from depression. And because back in the 90s, what caused him to get depression was, back in the 90s, it was at the peak of the crack epidemic, which a lot of people were addicted to crack cocaine, and Robin Williams was one of those addicts. So yeah. But Robin Williams' legacy still lives on to this day, and even after he died. So yeah, it was very tragic when he died, but his legacy still lives on, and there are even memorials at the house that they filmed Mrs. Doubtfire in, and also at the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and a few other memorials at the time, which you can access them on Google. I don't know if they're still there anymore, but probably not. But it's still good though. So yeah, but after all, Robin Williams, even though he's not, so yeah, I will say that he was probably one of my favorite actors from my childhood, even though, like, the kid-friendly stuff like Flubber, that was great, and Aladdin, which I always enjoy. I think Aladdin and Flubber are my two favorite Robin Williams movies. So yeah, and they're both Disney, which is great. Anyway, that it's past recording this for 10 minutes, so that pretty much concludes my thoughts on Robin Williams. So rest in peace, pal. Even though it's been 4 years, rest in peace and stuff. So yeah, so that concludes it, and so yeah. And so, thanks for watching. And yeah.